They told you to think positive, visualize success, repeat affirmations until the universe listens. But what if the universe isn't listening to your words at all? What if the law of attraction is just the surface illusion, a simplified echo of a much deeper, older, more precise law pulsing beneath every manifestation, every timeline, every version of you that ever could be? You've probably tried to manifest money, love, healing, clarity. Maybe it worked for a while, or maybe it didn't. But here's the hidden glitch. Attraction is not the cause. Vibration is, and vibration isn't an emotion, it's a frequency, a code, a broadcast that you are emitting in every moment whether you mean to or not. And that broadcast doesn't come from your thoughts alone. It comes from your nervous system, your memories, your subconscious imprints, the way your body flinches when you check your bank account or wakes up in fight or flight before your feet hit the floor. This is not about wishful thinking, it's about energetic precision. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Not what you consciously affirm, but what your field vibrates in secret. That's why two people can say the same affirmation, perform the same ritual, and live completely different outcomes. Because it's not the practice, it's the frequency behind the practice. This isn't magic, it's mechanics, quantum mechanics, where energy precedes matter and intention means nothing without coherence. And right now, most people are trying to manifest from a field full of contradiction, from a signal fragmented by fear, scarcity, trauma. They're sending mixed messages to a field that only answers clarity. So maybe it's time to stop obsessing over attraction and start mastering vibration. Because when your vibration is coherent, reality doesn't need to be forced. It bends. It flows. It organizes around you like gravity around a star. The truth? You've been taught the wrong law, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why the law of vibration, not attraction, is the true architect of your reality. Stay until the end, because once you understand this shift, you'll never try to manifest the same way again. Let's make something clear. This isn't just about tweaking your mindset or thinking higher thoughts. This is about cracking the code behind why your life still feels like it's looping, even after all the vision boards, journaling prompts, and meditation sessions. Because if you're vibrating at the frequency of doubt while asking for abundance, you're not just confusing the universe, you're collapsing timelines into more lack. The law of vibration is ruthless in its precision. It doesn't care what you hope for, it mirrors what you habitually feel. And that feeling, that frequency, it isn't born in your affirmations. It's hidden in your reactions, your body language, the emotions you suppress, the assumptions you make when no one's watching. You think you're aligning with success because you spoke it aloud, but the quantum field isn't listening to your voice. It's listening to your vibration. Imagine this. Your thoughts are like the melody, but your emotions, they're the instrument. And if your instrument is out of tune, the melody means nothing. You want overflow, but check your phone in fear. You want love, but cringe at your own reflection. You want peace, but scroll through chaos. That's not attraction. That's misalignment. And the law of vibration is not fooled. The field reads every signal, your breath, your posture, your inner commentary, and then organizes reality around that signal with mechanical accuracy. That's why this video isn't about getting what you want, it's about becoming the version of you who naturally lives in what you used to want. Because that version, they're not chasing, they're not scripting, they're vibrating, and the field is responding. This is the shift most people never make. The transition from mental wishing to embodied broadcasting. Stay here, because in the next few minutes we're going to uncover why your nervous system is the real manifester and how you can rewire your frequency to match the reality that's already waiting for you in the field. You've done everything they said, spoke your desires aloud, journaled your dream life, visualized until your eyelids twitched, and yet here you are, still feeling like you're standing outside the glass of the life you want, watching it play out for someone else. And maybe you've started to wonder, what's wrong with me? But the truth is, nothing is wrong with you. What's wrong is the model you were given. Because the law of attraction made you believe that thinking was enough, that repeating mantras could override decades of emotional conditioning, that a vision board could silence a nervous system trained to expect disappointment. And so now, When the money doesn't come, when the relationship breaks down again, when the body still aches with anxiety, you blame yourself for not being aligned enough. But this pain you're feeling, the ache of trying so hard and still not shifting, isn't because you're broken. It's because you've been trying to climb a mountain with the wrong map. The law of vibration reveals what the law of attraction never told you, that your body has been broadcasting a frequency of fear even as your lips speak abundance, that your subconscious has been collapsing old timelines every time you react from trauma instead of truth. And if that hits home, good, because you're about to get free. The next moments will show you how to stop performing alignment and start embodying it. How to stop attracting from your wounds and begin vibrating from your wholeness. So stay, because the reason things haven't shifted isn't that you're not powerful, it's that your signal has been distorted. And once you correct the signal, reality doesn't resist, it responds. Let's go deeper, because this isn't just spiritual talk, it's neurobiological and quantum truth wrapped in one stunning realization. Your vibration is not just energy, it's data, and your nervous system is the transmitter. Every unresolved emotion, every stored trauma, every limiting belief etched into your subconscious is emitting a frequency that shapes what the quantum field reflects back to you. That's why you can want abundance and still live in lack, because your body remembers fear. Your cells remember survival. And when your vibration is born from a dysregulated nervous system, you're not manifesting, you're repeating. But here's the science-backed key. When you regulate your nervous system, when you shift from fight or flight into coherence, your entire field changes. Your electromagnetic signal stabilizes. Your heart and brain synchronize. And the field? It begins to organize around your new baseline. This is not about positive thinking. This is about becoming energetically coherent. When your thoughts, emotions, and body say the same thing, the field has no choice but to mirror it. That's why breathwork, heart-brain coherence, somatic release, and emotional repatterning aren't just wellness trends, they are technologies for vibrational mastery. You're not here to fake a high vibe. You're here to become a steady frequency. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you hope for when you're calm. It responds to what you signal when you're triggered. And if you learn how to hold your vibration even when chaos arises, you stop collapsing the past and start broadcasting the future. That's the shift. That's the gateway. And in the next few minutes, I'll walk you through exactly how to tune your frequency to match the version of you who doesn't chase the dream, they live it. Here's where everything starts to change. When you finally understand that your dominant frequency is not what you feel in moments of inspiration, but what you default to without thinking. Your baseline state, the emotional tone you carry in silence, in traffic, in conflict, in waiting rooms, is the real vibration that broadcasts into the field and attracts what you call reality. That's why sporadic affirmations don't work. That's why one-off meditations barely move the needle. Because if your baseline is still anchored in fear, in lack, in I'm not safe, then no matter how pretty your vision board looks, you're vibrating contradiction. But here's the gift. Baseline states are not fixed. They are patterns. Patterns can be rewired. Your nervous system can be trained to find safety and expansion, not just in survival. That's where the magic happens, not in wishing for more, but in feeling safe enough to receive it. This is where practices like vagal toning, conscious breath, and heart-focused meditation come in. Not as spiritual accessories, but as recalibrators of your energetic field. When you change your baseline, you change the timeline. The you who wakes up grounded, who checks their bank account without panic, who breathes through uncertainty, that version is broadcasting a frequency that aligns with peace, clarity, overflow. And here's the real secret. Manifestation isn't something you do. It's something you allow when your field becomes coherent enough to receive what already exists. Because every version of your life is already coded in the quantum. You don't create it from scratch. You collapse into it by matching its signal. So ask yourself, what emotion do I rehearse daily? What frequency am I normalizing? Because the future is not built on what you want, it's built on what you vibrate on repeat. And in the next part, we'll explore how to begin the shift with simple, science-backed recalibrations that don't just change how you feel, they change how reality responds. Now let's anchor this with something tangible, the real mechanics of shifting your frequency. Because it's not about trying harder, visualizing longer, or faking gratitude when your body is trembling in fear. The shift happens when you begin to train your nervous system to recognize safety in unfamiliar emotions, to hold the frequency of abundance, even when evidence hasn't arrived, to embody peace, even when the world outside looks chaotic. This isn't bypassing, this is biological recalibration. Studies from the HeartMath Institute show that when your heart and brain enter coherence, through simple practices like slow, intentional breathing combined with elevated emotions, your electromagnetic field expands, becomes more ordered, more powerful. That order is not just internal. It reorganizes the environment around you. Coherence is the language the quantum field responds to. So when you enter into that state consistently, not just during rituals but as a living baseline, you become magnetic to timelines that match. You're no longer leaking energy into old stories, reactive loops, or subconscious sabotage. You're holding a signal that says, "This is who I am now," and the field says, "Got it." This is where consistency matters more than intensity. A short moment of clear, coherent feeling practiced daily is more powerful than hours of disconnected visualizing, because repetition rewires identity. And identity is frequency. So, if you want to collapse a new version of reality, you don't have to force the external. You have to stabilize the internal. Think of it this way. You are a tuning fork. Reality vibrates to match your dominant tone. The clearer and more stable your tone, the faster the resonance. That's why it's not enough to dip into high vibration occasionally. You must embody it until it becomes your default. And that embodiment doesn't start in your head. It starts in your field. And in the next few minutes, I'll walk you through how to begin stabilizing that field with precision so the universe doesn't guess your signal, it reflects it instantly. And here's where it gets even more extraordinary, because once you begin to stabilize that internal frequency, you don't just attract experiences that match your new vibration. You begin to collapse entire timelines, quantum style. This isn't just poetic language, it's the literal mechanics of the observer effect in quantum physics. When your internal state, your attention, your emotion, your expectation locks into coherence, you're no longer a passive observer waiting for reality to shift. You become the selector. You become the force that chooses which version of the multiverse becomes form. And what most people don't realize is that you're already doing this all day long, just unconsciously, emotionally, reactively. You get triggered, and your nervous system selects an old, familiar timeline, the one where you're small, stuck, unsure. But imagine this. What if, in the moment of being triggered, you paused, breathed, remembered, and selected a new state instead? That's quantum alignment. That's mastery. And it doesn't just change how you feel, it reroutes your destiny in real time. This is not about escaping emotion, it's about making emotion your ally, your indicator, your compass. Every moment becomes a doorway, collapse an old loop, or choose the signal of your future self. And the more you practice this, the easier it gets. The triggers lose power, the field gets clearer, synchronicities increase, resistance dissolves, reality bends, and suddenly, you realize you're not manifesting anymore, you're embodying. The life you used to crave has become your baseline frequency. So, stay with me, because in the next sections, I'm going to give you the exact daily practices, the neurological and energetic habits that stabilize your identity in the timeline of your highest self, the version of you who doesn't chase because they've already arrived. Let's make this real. Because if this transformation stays theoretical, nothing shifts. What rewires your vibration is not what you know, but what you practice. So here's the gateway, the focus loop. Every morning before the noise begins, before you reach for your phone, before you plug into the old world, ask one question. What reality am I choosing to observe today? This is not just intention setting, this is frequency setting. Your answer to that question shapes your nervous system's filter for the next 24 hours. Then, midday, when life's momentum rise to pull you back into your old identity, pause, eyes closed, and declare out loud, I return to the version of me I'm becoming. This verbal cue disrupts the signal of the past and brings you back into alignment with the timeline you've chosen. Finally, before bed, you anchor the signal with embodiment. You don't just think about your day, you recall the moments you observed with intention, you feel the shifts you held, and you let your body soak in that energy like a blueprint. Why? Because sleep is not just rest, it's reprogramming. What you fall asleep feeling becomes your vibrational default. That's why this loop, morning declaration, midday reset, evening embodiment, is so powerful. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about stabilizing the observer. And when the observer stabilizes, the field stops guessing and starts responding with clarity. You stop collapsing timelines from fear, and you begin to tune into the frequency where everything you've been asking for already exists. This is not a hack. It's a rhythm, a coherence rhythm that rewires your baseline. So don't just listen, implement. Because every time you repeat this loop, you're telling the universe, I am no longer rehearsing the past. I am remembering the future. And the field? It never argues with your signal. It only reflects it. Now here's the part that most people miss, and it's the silent reason why their reality doesn't shift even when they do everything right. Because you can set intentions, visualize your dreams, speak all the affirmations, but if your subconscious identity is still wired to the old version of you, the one who doubts, who waits, who survives instead of expands, then your signal is split, and the quantum field only responds to coherence. So what happens? You loop. You oscillate between hope and disappointment, progress and sabotage, expansion and contraction, not because the universe is testing you, but because your signal keeps collapsing the version of reality that matches the old identity. Here's the truth. You can't vibrate at the level of overflow while still identifying as someone who barely gets by. That's why the real shift is not about what you want, it's about who you're willing to be. Identity is not static, it's programmable, it's a script, and you're the one holding the pen. So here's the key. Identity is not changed by thinking different thoughts, it's changed by choosing different observations. You must begin to observe yourself not as you were, not as others labeled you, but as the version of you who already lives in your future timeline. How do they walk? What do they tolerate? What stories no longer exist in their inner dialogue? Every time you step into that energy, not just think about it, but feel it, breathe it, speak from it, you begin to rewire your neural circuits and stabilize a new broadcast. And that signal, the signal of the future self, fully embodied, collapses a new timeline faster than you can logically predict. So the question isn't, how do I manifest more? The real question is, what version of me must I stop being? And who am I willing to become in its place? Because your new reality isn't waiting for effort, it's waiting for coherence. Here's what no one told you. When you fully embody a new identity, you don't just think differently, you breathe differently, walk differently, expect differently, your posture shifts, your energy leads before you speak, and that shift, however subtle, tells the quantum field, this is the version of me that's now broadcasting. And the field listens, not to your words, not to your wish list, but to your frequency, your emotional tone, your embodied expectation. That's when synchronicities start stacking. That's when things you used to chase start orbiting toward you, because you've stopped sending the signal of separation. You've stopped broadcasting I want, and started transmitting I already am. This is not arrogance, it's coherence. You're no longer leaking energy into the gap, you're collapsing the gap, and reality must adjust. But here's the beauty, This doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. It's not about never dipping back into fear. It's about knowing how to return to your core signal faster each time. Your power is not in bypassing emotions. It's in choosing which ones you let govern your timeline. And every moment becomes a fork. Do I collapse the past or the future? Do I observe through the eyes of the old me or the one who's already on the other side of the shift? And the more you choose the latter, the more your field stabilizes, the more your body becomes a match, the more life organizes not by force, but by frequency. This is where manifestation becomes magnetic, not mechanical. So breathe that in. Because in the next and final chapter, we're going to lock in this shift, not just as an idea, but as a living state of being. You've remembered the truth. Now it's time to become it. And if this message resonated, if you're ready to keep aligning, keep collapsing timelines, keep becoming the version of you that the future is waiting for, then subscribe. This isn't just a channel. It's a frequency. And now it's your frequency too. Welcome to the field. The shift has already begun.